is erupting. LeBron to Curry to quieten things down. Of course, Steph Curry with the three.
LeBron James and Stephen Curry, two of the biggest names in basketball history. For years, they battled it out in the NBA Finals. But in 2024, something nobody ever expected happened. They teamed up for the first time on the international stage, leading Team USA to Olympic glory. Their partnership may have changed everything, not just for their legacies, but for the future of the NBA itself. And that's not all. LeBron's son, BRONNY, is fighting for his place in the Lakers roster, and the Lakers are exploring huge trade moves. Let's dive into how these storylines are shaking up the league. LeBron James and Stephen Curry are no strangers to high-stakes games, but the 2024 Paris Olympics marked the first time they teamed up for a common goal, bringing home gold for Team USA. For years, these two were seen as fierce rivals, with Curry's Warriors facing LeBron's Cavaliers in multiple NBA Finals battles. Their final showdowns were legendary, but no one thought we'd ever see them play together. And yet, there they were, side by side, leading Team USA in one of the most competitive Olympic basketball tournaments in recent history. France, Spain, and Australia all had their eyes on gold, but it was the combined leadership of LeBron and Curry that sealed the deal for Team USA. LeBron, now nearing the twilight of his career, called playing alongside Curry a dream come true and one of the highlights of his basketball journey.
It was everything and more. I was super excited to be able to finally team up with him, you know, in a win or die type atmosphere, and that's what it was. You know, being a part of the Olympics, and it was everything that I dreamed of and inspired to want to be a part of that team along with Steph. Great memories, something that I remember from my basketball career for the rest of my life, for sure.
The gold medal was the fourth consecutive one for Team USA, but for LeBron and Curry, it was more than just another accolade. It was a testament to how far they had come, not just as rivals, but as two of the most influential players of their generation. Their ability to put aside past competition and work together flawlessly showed the world what can happen when legends team up. After the Olympic victory, fans couldn't help but wonder, could we see LeBron and Curry on the same NBA team? When asked about this, LeBron's response was as blunt as ever: "I have no idea."
And the circumstances of you with the Lakers and with the Warriors, like, do you think, could it ever happen again?
What?
You guys be teammates?
I have no idea.
It might sound non-committal, but the reality of the situation makes such a partnership unlikely. Curry recently extended his contract with the Warriors through the 2026-27 season, while LeBron remains deeply tied to the Lakers. The logistics of bringing these two together would be a nightmare for any front office. Salary caps, trades, and roster moves would make this dream scenario almost impossible. But as we've seen with their Olympic team up, sometimes the impossible does happen in basketball. Meanwhile, another James is working hard to carve out his own NBA path, LeBron's son, Bronny James. While the hype surrounding Bronny's entry into the league was massive, his preseason performance has raised concerns. He struggled to find his rhythm on the court, with shooting percentages as low as 9% and a 13 plus-minus rating. For a rookie fighting for a spot in the Lakers rotation, these numbers don't inspire much confidence. Bronny himself has acknowledged that he needs to boost his confidence and adjust to the pressures of playing at the NBA level. With the regular season fast approaching, the clock is ticking for him to prove that he belongs. If he can't turn things around, there's a real possibility he could be sent to the G League, a tough blow for a young player under the immense shadow of his father. The Lakers are set to begin their regular season on October 22nd, and as of now, Bronny's role remains uncertain. After being drafted as the 55th overall pick, he's struggled to contribute offensively. He's gone scoreless in his last two preseason appearances, which isn't the way to make a case for staying on the main roster. The Lakers coaching staff will be keeping a close eye on Bronny over the next few weeks, but the pressure is mounting. If he can't step up his game soon, the G League might be his next stop. And for a player with so many expectations on his shoulders, the stakes couldn't be higher. While Bronny fights for his place, the Lakers are also looking at other moves to shore up their front court. Anthony Davis remains the centerpiece of the Lakers' defense, but the team knows they need more help. This has sparked rumors of potential trades to bring in players like Charlotte's Nick Richards, known for his rebounding and pick-and-roll prowess, and Portland's Robert Williams III, a former all-defensive center with elite rim protection skills. However, there's a problem. The Lakers have limited trade assets and salary cap constraints. Players like Cam Reddish, Jalen Hood-Schifino, or even Gabe Vincent could be used in trade packages to make room for a new frontcourt addition, but pulling off these deals won't be easy. The Lakers front office will need to get creative if they want to add the missing pieces to their lineup. One name that's been floated as a potential solution is Toronto Raptors' Kelly Olynyk. Olynyk is a stretch-forward center with solid three-point shooting ability, something the Lakers could use to complement Anthony Davis. Last season, Olynyk shot 37.8% from beyond the arc, making him a valuable offensive weapon. But acquiring Olynyk could be tricky. The Lakers would likely need to involve a third team to offload players like Cam Reddish or other pieces, making this trade a bit more complex. If they can pull it off, though, Olynyk could be the floor-spacing big man, and the Lakers need to take some pressure off Davis. During the 2023-2024 season, another rumor caused shockwaves through the NBA: LeBron James being traded to the Golden State Warriors. It sounded like something straight out of a fantasy basketball draft, but for a brief moment, it gained traction. Anthony Davis himself admitted how strange it was to hear LeBron's name in trade talks for the first time in his career. In the end, both Lakers GM Rob Pelinka and LeBron's agent Rich Paul quickly shut down any possibility of the trade happening. But for a few days, the idea of LeBron suiting up alongside Curry for a full NBA season sent fans into a frenzy. The rumor may have died down, but it served as a reminder of how unpredictable the NBA can be. As the 2024-2025 season approaches, the Lakers are counting on a healthy Anthony Davis to lead their defense. After playing 76 games last season, the most since joining the Lakers, Davis is ready to prove that he can be the franchise cornerstone. Alongside LeBron and Rui Hachimura in the frontcourt, Davis will have a crucial role in the team's success this season. One major change for the Lakers is the arrival of J.J. Redick as their new head coach. Redick has impressed early on with his leadership and attention to detail, but concerns remain about the assistant coaching staff he's assembled. Scouts have noted that the Lakers struggled to land top assistant candidates during the offseason, which could be a problem for Redick, a first-time head coach. Despite those concerns, one positive sign for the Lakers is the buy-in from LeBron James and the rest of the team. Last season, under Darvin Ham, the locker room reportedly lost faith in the coaching staff, with LeBron openly criticizing the approach. But with Redick in charge, there's a noticeable shift in morale. LeBron and the players are showing real belief in Redick's system, which could make all the difference as the Lakers navigate a challenging season. If the team can maintain this positive atmosphere, they could exceed expectations, even with Redick's inexperience as a head coach. However, the success of the season will largely depend on how well Redick can handle the pressure and how quickly the team adapts to his style of play. LeBron and Curry's Olympic partnership was a moment in basketball history that will never be forgotten. But as we look toward the upcoming NBA season, so many questions remain. Will Bronny find his place in the Lakers rotation, or will he be sent to the G League? Can the Lakers pull off a big trade to strengthen their front court? And most importantly, how will LeBron and Anthony Davis navigate yet another season in their storied careers? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure: the 2024-2025 season is shaping up to be one of the most unpredictable yet.
You got me down again.
The NBA offseason just delivered one of its most shocking trades yet. The Minnesota Timberwolves have officially traded Karl Anthony Towns to the New York Knicks in exchange for Julius Randle, Donte DiVincenzo, and a heavily protected first-round pick. What does this massive move mean for both teams? How will Julius Randle and Donte DiVincenzo fit in Minnesota? And can Karl Anthony Towns lead the Knicks to championship contention? Let's break down this blockbuster deal and explore what's next for the Timberwolves and Knicks. The Minnesota Timberwolves have been at the center of NBA trade rumors for months, and now they've made one of the biggest moves of the offseason. Karl Anthony Towns, the franchise's cornerstone for years, has been traded to the New York Knicks in exchange for All-Star Julius Randle, Donte DiVincenzo, and a heavily protected first-round pick from the Detroit Pistons. This trade has sent shockwaves through the league, and it has major implications for both franchises. For the New York Knicks, this trade signals their desire to take the next big step toward championship contention. By acquiring Karl Anthony Towns, the Knicks now have one of the most skilled big men in the NBA on their roster. Towns brings a unique combination of scoring, rebounding, and playmaking that few players in the league can match. With his ability to shoot from deep, score in the post, and create plays for his teammates, Towns is the kind of star that can transform a team's offense. The Knicks have long been searching for a player who can elevate their squad to the next level in the Eastern Conference, and Towns might just be the answer. Pairing Towns with Jalen Brunson and RJ Barrett gives the Knicks a formidable trio that should be able to compete with the top teams in the conference. Towns' presence will allow Brunson to thrive as the primary ball handler, with Towns providing scoring options both inside and outside. Towns has long been one of the most efficient big men in the NBA, and his offensive skill set should mesh well with the Knicks' current roster. His ability to stretch the floor will open up driving lanes for Brunson and Barrett, while his post-up game will give the Knicks a reliable scoring option in the paint. Towns is also an excellent passer for a center, meaning the Knicks' offense could become more dynamic with him in the mix. The addition of Towns also fills a major hole in the Knicks' roster. The team has been looking for a versatile big man who can dominate inside, but also step out and hit three-pointers. With Towns, they get a player who can do all that and more. It's a move that signals the Knicks are serious about competing for a title. On the other side of the trade, Julius Randle finds himself in a new situation, joining the Minnesota Timberwolves after a rocky 2023-24 season in New York. Randle dealt with injuries that hampered his performance, and he faced significant criticism from Knicks fans throughout the year. However, this trade presents Randle with an opportunity for a fresh start in Minnesota, and he's embracing it with a new look, sporting a low haircut and a renewed mindset. Randle's role on the Timberwolves will be crucial. He's expected to complement the team's young core, particularly Anthony Edwards, who is emerging as the franchise's future star. Randle's ability to create shots and handle the ball makes him a valuable asset to Minnesota's offense. He's known for his strong inside game, but he's also capable of stretching the floor with his improved three-point shooting. In Minnesota, Randle will have the chance to rediscover his all-star form and contribute to a team with high aspirations. There's some uncertainty about how well Randle will fit alongside the Timberwolves' current roster, especially with Anthony Edwards and veteran point guard Mike Conley playing key roles. However, Randle's defensive and offensive abilities will be tested as he joins a team that's looking to make a deep playoff run in the Western Conference. Randle's shot creation and playmaking will be critical, particularly in the front court, where he'll need to complement players like Naz Reid and Jaden McDaniels. With Randle, the Timberwolves gain a player who can create his own offense, something they've needed after trading away Towns. His ability to drive to the basket, hit mid-range jumpers, and play physical defense will be tested as Minnesota looks to remain competitive in the West. Alongside Randle, the Timberwolves also acquired Donte DiVincenzo, a player they've had their eye on for some time. DiVincenzo brings a valuable skill set to Minnesota, namely three-point shooting and defense. Known for his energy, hustle, and clutch performances, DiVincenzo will play a key role in keeping the Timberwolves competitive, especially after the departure of Towns. The Timberwolves needed more shooting depth, and DiVincenzo's arrival addresses that need. With his ability to knock down shots from beyond the arc and contribute as a secondary playmaker, DiVincenzo will be an important piece in the Timberwolves' rotation. He's also a strong defender, capable of guarding multiple positions, which adds versatility to Minnesota's lineup. DiVincenzo's arrival gives the Timberwolves more flexibility on both ends of the floor. He can play alongside Edwards and Conley in smaller lineups, providing spacing and defense. As Minnesota continues to build around their young core, DiVincenzo's presence will help solidify their backcourt rotation. This trade wasn't just about talent. The Timberwolves made this move in part due to financial considerations. Karl Anthony Towns' $224 million contract combined with the new CBA rules, made it difficult for Minnesota to retain their core players without facing significant luxury tax penalties. By trading Towns, the Timberwolves were able to free up cap space and address their front court financial commitments. With Towns out of the picture, the Timberwolves can now focus on building around Anthony Edwards, Naz Reid, and Jaden McDaniels, all of whom are seen as key pieces for the future. The addition of Randle and DiVincenzo gives Minnesota the depth they need to remain competitive, while also extending their competitive window. While some fans may be skeptical about losing a franchise player like Towns, the Timberwolves are betting on their young core to lead the way moving forward. Julius Randle, despite his ups and downs in New York, brings valuable shot creation and playmaking to the team. He may not be a long-term replacement for Towns, but for now, he offers the Timberwolves the versatility they need in their front court. Off the court, Julius Randle's wife, Kendra Randle, has been adjusting to the trade as well. Kendra has shared photos on social media reflecting on their time in New York while expressing support for her husband's new chapter in Minnesota. The Randles have become a well-known couple in the basketball world, and Kendra's support will be key as Julius settles into his new role with the Timberwolves. With Towns now on board, the New York Knicks have taken a significant step toward becoming a legitimate championship contender in the Eastern Conference. Towns fills a major hole in the Knicks roster, giving them a dynamic big man who can score from anywhere on the court. His ability to stretch the floor and dominate in the post will provide the Knicks with the offensive firepower they need to compete at the highest level. Pairing Towns with Jalen Brunson and RJ Barrett gives the Knicks one of the most formidable lineups in the East. The addition of Towns also allows the Knicks to compete with the top teams in the conference, such as the Milwaukee Bucks, Boston Celtics, and Philadelphia 76ers. New York's goal is clear: contend for a championship, and Karl-Anthony Towns is the player they believe can help them achieve that. While the Knicks are excited about the addition of Towns, not everyone in New York is happy to see Randle and DiVincenzo go. Actor and Knicks superfan Ben Stiller took to social media to praise both players, thanking them for their contributions to the team. Stiller credited Randle for helping bring winning back to the Knicks and enduring the challenges of being a star in New York. He also praised DiVincenzo for his clutch performances and energy, calling him a player the Knicks will miss. Stiller's comments highlight the impact that both Randle and DiVincenzo had during their time with the Knicks. While Towns' arrival marks a new chapter, fans like Stiller are grateful for the effort and dedication Randle and DiVincenzo brought to the team. This trade has set the stage for a new era in both Minnesota and New York. The Timberwolves have gained two valuable players in Julius Randle and Donte DiVincenzo, while the Knicks have added a superstar in Karl-Anthony Towns. Both teams have high aspirations for the upcoming season, but only time will tell if this trade will pay off for both franchises. Will the Timberwolves' new-look roster be enough to remain competitive in the Western Conference? And can Karl-Anthony Towns lead the Knicks to championship contention in the East? We'll be watching closely as these two teams embark on their next chapters.
The NBA GOAT debate. The most subjective, debatable, confusing, and especially the most frustrating conversation in maybe not just sports, but the entire world. Look, you can tell yourself all you want about how you won't any longer take part in any GOAT debate, or that there's no such thing as a quote-unquote GOAT, or even the fact that the conversation won't ever end. So there's no point in even starting one. But then a friend or someone you know chimes in on the GOAT debate and says something that you don't exactly agree with. And voila! You've just got yourself into another debate. But here's a serious thought. Why should we want to hear each other's opinions instead of the opinions of the guys who actually got to see greatness up close and personal? I get it. Players might be biased towards the era they played in, or might make a certain pick because they feel some type of way towards another player. I say Thomas. So here's what I did. I scoured the internet to find as many opinions as I could from current and former players to find out who they think the NBA's GOAT is. And I've got to say, of the opinions I came across, a lot of them might just surprise you. And if we compare the results from a player poll that was done by The Athletic in 2019, there was a clear-cut answer to the GOAT debate. An overwhelming 73% of active NBA players said Michael Jordan was the GOAT when this poll was conducted over 3 years ago. In second place came LeBron James with 11% of the votes. But because this particular poll didn't factor in former players and NBA legends from different eras, and especially because LeBron James won an NBA title just a year later and is now the NBA's all-time leading scorer, it's worth uncovering how these opinions have changed over the last couple of years. So, here we go.
I'm gonna say one thing to you, Max. I don't know the numbers like you do. Michael Jordan is what in the finals? 6 and what?
Oh.
And what is LeBron in the finals? That's all I gotta say.
That was Shaq's stance on the GOAT debate. Well, actually the MJ-LeBron debate 5 years ago, after LeBron and the Los Angeles Lakers failed to make the playoffs in LeBron's first season in LA. Fast forward 5 years later, and in the present time, it's what makes this debate all the more head-scratching. Players shift and switch their stances all too often.
I think he wants to pass up Kareem. Because if he passes up Kareem in the point, we all gotta shut the hell up. He gonna have 4 rings. We already passed up Kobe, we already passed up Mike, now he passed up Kareem. So if that don't make him the greatest basketball player is, I don't know, what we're talking about.
Actually, allow me to take you one step further to the time, or the times. Scottie Pippen weighed in on the GOAT debate. Apparently for Pippen, he's got 99 problems and making his GOAT pick is one.
There's no game that I would ever play in and pick LeBron James over Michael Jordan.
Well, just a few months later, Pippen completely backtracked and had this to say about who the greatest of all time is.
To say who is the greatest, we will never know that. I mean, in my eye, Wilt Chamberlain is the greatest basketball player.
But even before he said all of the above, Pippen said this year before he changed his stance twice on the GOAT debate.
When you look across the board, not just scoring, check his assists, check his rebounds, he's probably ahead of Jordan.
Oh my God!
Stephen A. Smith's reaction is exactly mine when I consider the fact that Scottie Pippen changed his mind on this subject at least 3 different times. Okay, changing your mind on who the GOAT is one thing, especially because as time goes by, a lot of things change. But calling yourself the greatest of all time is an entirely different matter. And this entirely different matter called for some chaos among fans and pundits.
And then after I stopped, I was like, that one right there made you the greatest player of all time. No, everybody was just talking how they were the greatest team of all time. Like, they was the greatest team to ever assemble. And for us to come back, the way we came back in that fashion, I was like, you did something special.
Well, that's a first. Before those words came out of LeBron's mouth, I don't recall a time in sports history a player, especially of LeBron's caliber, came out and said that he was the best to ever play the sport. It just doesn't happen. But according to LeBron, he himself is the best to ever play in the NBA. An opinion that just didn't sit too well with a whole lot of people, because a lot of people said what I just told you. Hearing LeBron call himself the GOAT is just weird. Not because he's being egregious or saying something completely out of line, but because we've never heard a historically great player say such a thing about themselves. But I guess LeBron said it because he was around his friends. I mean, what better time to say something like that than when you're sitting in a circle of all your childhood friends who you've spent seemingly a lifetime with? And speaking of friends, why not hear the opinion of the man who probably has been LeBron's biggest friend in the NBA, and someone he's played several seasons with?
And once LeBron James is done playing this game of basketball, I'm definitely gonna tell my grandkids, kids, that I played with one of the greatest to play the game of basketball. He will be the GOAT for a lot of generations. I started playing the game because of Michael Jordan. He will be my GOAT until the day I pass away. It doesn't take anything away from LeBron. This is just like LeBron. We started playing, we envisioned playing like Michael Jordan. So for me, from Chicago, where I grew up, I made it out the hood because I seen a dude, number 23, play the game of basketball at a level that I was like, I just want to do some of that.
That's a rather peaceful way of addressing both LeBron and MJ in the GOAT debate, right? What's not so peaceful, well...
Bro, I'm just going to say this. Any media person that I see in person for the rest of my life who try to tell me LeBron James is good as Michael Jordan, I'm just going to slap the hell out of him right on the spot. Right on the damn spot. No question asked. The next person who walks up to me and say, LeBron James, who is amazing, as good as Michael Jordan or competes like Michael Jordan, I'm just going to slap the hell out of you right on the spot, and I'm going to take my chances with the judicial system.
Oh, well, that was harsh. Interestingly, Charles Barkley was primarily pointing to LeBron's competitiveness and mentality to argue against his status as the greatest of all time. Because if you ask Jason Kidd, the man who saw LeBron play the worst series of his life and suffer the single lowest moment of his career, this is what he had to say despite all of the above.
LeBron becomes the all-time leading scorer next year. Does that make him the greatest player of all time, or is that still Michael Jordan?
That's a good question, and that's the barbershop question. I think LeBron will go down as the greatest to do it. When you look at what his numbers, what he's done on and off the floor, no one's done that. And so he'll go. I mean, you got to put the whole package together. He's the greatest of all time.
Okay, let me transition a bit. Back in 1998, and exactly 6 years after the entire controversy in which Michael Jordan allegedly kept Isaiah Thomas from participating on the Dream Team, Isaiah Thomas, now as an announcer, had this to say about MJ and where he stands on the all-time ladder.
It's not the flashy things, it's the little simple things that he does. It's his fundamental base combined with his skill base that makes him the greatest player to ever play.
And you say that without hesitation?
Without hesitation.
You weren't always convinced. There was a point maybe midway through his career where you wouldn't have given him that honor, but eventually he won you over, right?
Well, when you're playing against him, you know you're not going to say that because you got to come out and compete against him. But now sitting over here in the mic and being out of the game for 3 or 4 years and watching what he's done over the last couple of years, without question, this guy's the greatest that I've ever seen play.
If you've been paying attention at all, you know that is an incredible mouthful coming from Isaiah Thomas. And it's especially interesting considering Isaiah's recent track record of where he's been on the GOAT debate. And just keep one thing in mind. That was 1998, long after Kareem Abdul-Jabbar retired from the NBA. Now hear this.
All right, Isaiah, I have to ask you this question. It is a topic we have debated many times on this show. Who is the better all-time player, LeBron or Michael?
Well, I'm going to say neither. In my opinion, neither one of them are. And I've been on record saying this. To me, the greatest player to ever play the game that I've seen is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
That was an entire 19 years after Isaiah had already announced MJ as the undisputed greatest player of all time, while MJ was still playing. Fast forward 7 years later, and like I've been saying, these opinions change far too often.
Do you have LeBron over Kareem Abdul-Jabbar?
Not until he passes him in the scoring title, but as an all-around player, yes.
That's now 2 former NBA players that have said that LeBron's status as GOAT is pending on his quest to becoming the NBA's all-time leading scorer. Well, I guess they now have LeBron as the GOAT. See, we can't be mad at this fact. LeBron is 20 years in and is on pace to average at least 25 or more points per game for an incredible 19th season in a row. And speaking of points, he stands on the mountaintop as the NBA's all-time leading scorer. But even with all that being said, there is one man, one transformational, mythical, and immortal man that played in the NBA and did something every night that had people's jaws hanging. The man retired more than 2 decades ago and is still the most recognizable sports figure of all time. He's the reason why 85% of the population ever picked up a basketball. The players have spoken, data has been collected, and all the numbers have been crunched. And no doubt should be left in anyone's mind. He's Michael Jeffrey Jordan, the greatest player of all time.